وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله أنها قالت: دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال: السلام عليك يا فاطمة. فقلت: عليك السلام. قال: إني أجد في بدني ضعفا. فقلت له: أعيذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال: يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فآتيته بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسن قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت: نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسين قد أقبل وقال: السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي: يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت: نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا جداه والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال: السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت: وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال: يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن عمي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت: نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فاقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصيي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي، قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ثم آتيت نحو الكساء وقلت: السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله، أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ فقال: وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي، قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء. اللهم صل على آل محمد. فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ برسول الله بطرفي الكساء وعوما بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال: اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي، لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي، يعلمني ما يعلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم، فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم، وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال الله عز وجل: يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات، إني ما خلقت السماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدحيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيعا، ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل: يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل: هم أهل بيت النبوة ومأدن الرسالة، هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. فقال جبرائيل: يا رب أتأذن لي أن أحبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله: نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال: السلام عليك يا رسول الله. العلي الأعلى يقرأك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك: وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدحيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مذيعة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لعجلكم ومحبتكم، وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم، فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله؟ فقال رسول الله: وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآله. فقال علي لأبي: يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي صلى الله عليه وآله: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام: إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله: يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله حما ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غما ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجة. فقال علي عليه السلام: إذن والله فزنا وسعدنا، وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد وأجعل.
صلوات. آیا نہ ہوگا اس طرح حسن و شباب ریت پر، آیا نہ ہوگا اس طرح حسن و شباب ریت پر، گلشن فاطمہ کے تھے سارے گلاب ریت پر، اور آل رسول کے سوا کوئی نہیں کھلا سکا، آل رسول کے سوا کوئی نہیں کھلا سکا، قطرۂ آب کے بغیر اتنے گلاب ریت پر، قطرۂ آب کے بغیر اتنے گلاب ریت پر، گلشن فاطمہ کے تھے سارے گلاب ریت پر، اور عشق میں کیا بچائیے، عشق میں کیا لٹائیے، عشق میں کیا بچائیے، عشق میں کیا لٹائیے، آل نبی نے لکھ دیا سارا نصاب ریت پر، آل نبی نے لکھ دیا سارا نصاب ریت پر، گلشن فاطمہ کے تھے سارے گلاب ریت پر، اور جتنے سوال عشق نے آل رسول سے کیے، اور جتنے سوال عشق نے آل رسول سے کیے، ایک کے بعد ایک دیے سارے جواب ریت پر، ایک کے بعد ایک دیے سارے جواب ریت پر، گلشن فاطمہ کے تھے سارے گلاب ریت پر، پیاسا حسین کو کہوں اتنا تو بے ادب نہیں، پیاسا حسین کو کہوں اتنا تو بے ادب نہیں، لمس لب حسین کو ترسا ہے آب ریت پر، گلشن فاطمہ کے تھے سارے گلاب ریت پر، اور آل نبی کا کام تھا آل نبی ہی کر گئے، آل نبی کا کام تھا آل نبی ہی کر گئے، کوئی نہ لکھ سکا ادیب ایسی کتاب ریت پر، گلشن فاطمہ کے تھے سارے گلاب ریت پر، صلوات
صلوات اب اس سے یہ وطن میں کسی نے کیا کلام، گزرے کہاں پہ زیادہ قلق تم پہ یا امام، مولا نے 3 بار کہا شام شام شام، سر ننگے سارا کنبہ تھا اور گرد خاص و عام،
بیواں کا نام لے کے عدو شاد ہوتے تھے، بابا کا سر بھی روتا تھا اور ہم بھی روتے تھے۔ عابد سے یہ وطن میں صلوات۔ باردی پر صلوات۔ افسوس نبی زادیوں کا شام میں جانا، سجاد سے پوچھو۔ افسوس نبی زادیوں کا شام میں جانا، سجاد سے پوچھو۔ سر ننگے وہ ماں بہنوں کا دربار میں جانا، سجاد سے پوچھو۔ افسوس نبی زادیوں کا شام میں جانا، سجاد سے پوچھو۔ چھپتی تھی نبی زادی نبی زادی کے پیچھے، کس شرم و حیا سے چھپتی تھی نبی زادی نبی زادی کے پیچھے، کس شرم و حیا سے، اور شمر کا ان بیویوں کے نام بتانا، سجاد سے پوچھو۔ بیٹھے ہوئے دربار میں سب چھوٹے بڑے تھے، سادات کھڑے تھے۔ بیٹھے ہوئے دربار میں سب چھوٹے بڑے تھے، سادات کھڑے تھے۔ سر تشت میں رکھا ہوا زینب کو دکھانا، سجاد سے پوچھو۔ جب دختر شبیر نے زندہ میں قضا کی،
آفت کی گھڑی تھی وہ ننھی سی میت بندھے ہاتھوں سے اٹھانا سجاد سے پوچھو جب غسل سکینہ کو وہاں دے چکی غسار تھا سب کا برا حال اس ننھی سی میت پہ نشان رسی کے پانا سجاد سے پوچھو افسوس نبی زادیوں کا شام میں جانا سجاد سے پوچھو صلوات
صلوات بر محمد وآل محمد.
یوں سکینہ نے پکارا اے میرے بابا حسین، اب نہیں کوئی سہارا، اے میرے بابا حسین، شمر بالی کھینچتا ہے کان سے آ جائیے، شمر بالی کھینچتا ہے کان سے آ جائیے، آئیے اب تو خدا را اے میرے بابا حسین، رات ہوتی ہے پرستی اس سر پر دیکھیے، رات ہوتی ہے برستی اس سر پر دیکھیے، ہے پھٹا کرتا ہمارا اے میرے بابا حسین، ناتواں ہے بیڑیاں ہیں دیکھیے آ کر ذرا، ناتواں ہے بیڑیاں ہیں دیکھیے آ کر ذرا، بھائیاں عابد کو سہارا، اے میرے بابا حسین، باندھ کر رسی گلے میں کھینچتا شمر جب ہے ہمیں، باندھ کر رسی گلے میں کھینچتا ہے شمر جب، میں نے امّو کو پکارا، اے میرے بابا حسین، یوں سکینہ نے پکارا، اے میرے بابا حسین، اب نہیں کوئی سہارا، اے میرے بابا حسین۔
صلوات بر محمد وآل محمد، اللہم صلی علی محمد وآل محمد۔
Mu'mineen, we welcome His Eminence Maulana Sheikh Fauzi amongst us. We welcome him to Zainabia Center, Atlanta. Kindly recite a loud salawat for his health, his family's health and success. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa Mu'mineen, inshallah, there will be julus in downtown Atlanta this coming Sunday at 12:30 in the afternoon. ایک مجلس اعزا آن سیٹرڈے بروز ہفتہ 11 ستمبر انشاءاللہ 2 بجے منعقد ہوگی. تمام مومنین و مومنات سے شرکت کی استدعا ہے. ایڈریس از 207 ونڈ کریسٹ کورٹ، ووڈسٹاک، جارجیا، اینڈ دس از فرام آور ریسپیکٹڈ کمیونٹی ممبر جناب تمار رضوی صاحب. Kindly recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. Without further ado, I would request Maulana Dr. Mehdi Hazari to recite tonight's Majlis bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
نعرہ حیدری،
Ya Ali, Ya Ali.
Thank you. I need that paper that was here. Sorry. Thank you. Can we please have Surah Al-Fatiha for Fidda Ali Qayyumi, Ibn Abd Ali Qayyumi, Siraj al-Nisa Begum bint Afzal Hussain, Abid Ali ibn Zahid Ali, Bilqis Begum bint Abdul Hussain, Hamid Ali ibn Abid Ali, and Suresh Kamat, and also Zubayda Somji, Salim Rajab Ali. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. May Allah bless their souls. Can we also have a Surah Al-Fatiha for the soul of Samahat al-Sayyid Sa'id al-Hakim, who passed away today in Najaf. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله، وعلى أهل بيتك المعصومين الأبرار الميامين المظلومين المضطهدين. السلام عليك وعلى ولدك المظلوم أبي عبد الله الحسين. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم يا عطشان كربلاء، ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم، وأمنا من لجأ والتجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا أول المسلمين. آمنا بالله، صدق الله العلي العظيم. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear brothers and sisters, on a night like tonight, let's continue the discussion we started yesterday. And we spoke about the importance of salat. And I mentioned to you the critical nature of what salat is. That when the Holy Quran says, إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ خُلِقَ هَلُوعًا إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا, human beings have a quality in them that they are anxious and bewildered, and they are deniers if indeed they have been given when something happens that is good in their life. And that only those who are considered to be musallin, people who uphold their prayer and are constant in their prayer. So see how pivotal the nature of salat is. Now, even with respect to the ayah I just quoted to you, in which Rasul is asked to tell the people, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. When you talk about life, death, what you do in life and death, in the course of your life, average human being, how many minutes in your life do you think you have spent doing salat? Very few, really, if you think about it. Even in 24 hours period, let's say you just do the 17 wajib rak'ah of prayer. How long will that take you total? 20 minutes? Out of 24 hours. Maybe half an hour if you go slow. Yes? And if you add nafilah to that, or other prayers to that, how much have you added? Maybe another hour? Maybe not even that, just half an hour maybe. So 1 hour out of 24 hours every day. Yet imagine the verse that Rasul is told to tell the people that my salat, first thing beginning with, my salat, my acts of sacrifice, my life and my death are for Allah, for my Lord. How important that salat is in the course of your day. And he says, your sacrifice, my sacrifice, and along with that, my life and my death. Let's talk about life today, insha'Allah. Tomorrow we tackle death. When you talk about life, let's look at what the Holy Quran describes. Yes, you all know that Holy Quran gives lots of examples for us to learn from. One is the example of the Bani Israel. The Bani Israel, there is so much to learn from their lives in the Holy Quran. You know that when Allah saves them from Fir'aun, so you all know the story of the splitting of the sea, the tribe of Musa alayhi salam with Harun alayhi salam, they make it through. Fir'aun goes into the riverbed or the seabed, and the waves crash on him, and the body is washed ashore, and it becomes a sign for all times. Now they have survived. The 12 tribes of Bani Israel, they say they are some riwayat, they describe in the hundreds of thousands. These were not just a few hundred people. We are talking about many, many, many people. This tribe, the followers of Musa alayhi salam, Harun alayhi salam, what was their state? They were slaves, essentially. They were treated like the lowest of the low under Fir'aun, were they not? They were crushed, essentially. They had no will, they had no reasoning, no mind power. They had been physically abused. They had been killed, imprisoned. Everything you can think of Fir'aun had done to them. So you imagine what their mind is like, what their state is like. And sometimes I think to myself, the Quran teaches us to maybe reflect that what sort of slave are you? Because the example of Bani Israel is very clear. When Musa comes to them, he says to them, look, worship God, follow me, I am the messenger. Follow us, Allah will save you from this tyranny. Indeed, what does he do? He splits the sea, they come through. When they come through to the other side, they survive. They say they come upon a tribe. The riwayat, they tell, the Bani Israel are traveling now in the desert. They come upon another tribe. And they see that this other tribe is worshipping idols. Now it's strange, that they see the tribe is worshipping idols. Allah has just saved them. He's miraculously split the sea open, saved them from Fir'aun. They come to Musa alayhi salam. They see this other tribe they've come upon who's worshipping the idol. They say to Musa, Ij'al lana ilahan kama lahum aliha. The ayah, it says, the verse of the Quran, Ij'al lana ilahan. Make a God for us, Musa. Now look at how backwards they were. Allah has just saved them. And there's now again saying, looking at the idol, that, oh Musa, make for us an idol, a God, just like they have gods. And what does Musa say? Innakum qawmun tajhalun. You are indeed ignorant. You are an ignorant community. Now yes, we don't worship idols, but maybe in our lives we have pursued things that maybe become like a pseudo-idol to us, yes? That unfortunately we give importance to, that should not have that much importance. So what does Allah say? Allah speaks to the Bani Israel. He says, Ya Bani Israel, اذكروا نعمتي التي أنعمت عليكم. The verse says, look Bani Israel, I've given you lots of ni'mah, bounties, my gift I have showered upon you. And again, I remind myself in you, think about your own self in this state. That, O Bani Israel, we've given you gifts, and not only gifts, we've given you safety, security from Fir'aun. We rescued you from the greatest trial and difficulty. Remember that. وَأَوْفُوا بِعَهْدِي أُوفِ بِعَهْدِكُمْ. Allah says, fulfill your covenant to me, I will fulfill my covenant upon you. وَإِيَّايَ فَارْهَبُونَ. Make sure that you have fear of nothing and other than me. But, he says, fulfill that covenant, that ahd that you have made. Now I ask you, what ahd have they made? And have we made the same ahd? Have we made the same covenant with Allah? Ask yourself. And I mentioned this yesterday, that when you sit in your salat and you do the tashahhud, you say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. They're just words there coming out of your mouth? Or is that a promise from inside of you that you have said, Ya Allah, I have attested to the oneness of your being, that you are the only and sole creator, the God of all? And that I will fall into line, I will do exactly what it is you have told. Indeed, we have made the same ahd. We have made the same covenant with Allah. We have made the same promise to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, inside deep of ourselves, to follow Him, to obey Him, to do what He tells us to do, to stay away from the prohibitions. Yet, just like Bani Israel, we falter. And why do we falter? Because we don't have the strength in our lives. We say in this verse, Rasulullah says, Inna salati wa nusuki wa mahyaya wa mamati lillahi rabbil alameen. My life is for Allah. My life is for Allah, Lord of the worlds. My life is for Allah, Lord of the worlds. Will any of you say different? If today somebody comes and asks you that who is your life for? I will list off a bunch of things. I will say for my spouse, for my children, for my job. I like to eat good food. That's part of my life. I'm an avid soccer player. Soccer for me is like life. I have to play soccer. If I don't play soccer, then that's it. Something goes wrong. Everything. I need to have my leisure time. I drink my chai in the evening. Yes, no one should disturb me. All of that is my life. Will any of you give this answer? No, you as believers will say what? That Allah is my life. Allah is my life. Allah is my life. Allah is my life. Allah is everything to me. Yet we falter. In true application of this, do we fulfill what we are supposed to? That's why the Quran even describes about the Bani Israel, that Allah says to them, خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ. Take what we have given you with strength. وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. And remind yourselves, remember, go and ponder on what we have given to you. Take what we have given to you with strength, Hold on to it strongly. And remember what we have given to you. Remind yourselves of what is in it. Why? So you can be pious. So you can find piety. Now I ask you, in all of this, why do we falter? Okay? And let me give you now an example, and we will keep the discussion to this. This can be a very big discussion, but I will focus on one small aspect of it. That after the events of Karbala, and indeed, let's say even 10 years prior to this, okay, in the time of Al-Imam Al-Hasan Al-Mujtaba, when you know that Muawiyah la'natullahi alayh, what did he do? He had a scheme, he had a plot, and by doing so, he was able to control a large portion of the Muslim Ummah, and enacted a treaty that everybody knew, and Imam Al-Hasan alayhi salam had proven. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allah. So now I ask you, he came into power, quote unquote, yes? Worldly power, not true power, worldly power. And he stayed a little over a decade. He stayed. In the 60th year, he dies. Breaks the treaty, the terms of the treaty, and puts his son, Yazid, into place. Yazid does not last very long, handful of years. In that he does so much damage, so much evil, so much corruption. He comes and he goes. Muawiyah II, his son comes, but he abdicates. He doesn't want to stay in the position. After him, another comes. Eventually, the Banu Marwan, they come in and they take over, one after the other. How long do they last? Until the 132nd year after Hijrah. They don't last very long. The Banu Umayyah come and they go. Not long in terms of a dynasty. You're talking about kingship. If you look at secular history today, how are the Banu Umayyah described? That they were the first dynasty in Islam, right? Kingship. Father to son, father to son, father to son, on and on and on. It went on. How long did they last? They lasted 72 years, 71 years, basically. How long is that? Not very long. 71 years? Nothing. Last nothing. Yes? After them, who comes? Banu Abbas comes, yes? They take the power by corrupt means, by using their relationship to Rasulullah, they take over control. How long did they last? They lasted a little longer. Several hundred years, several centuries they last. But in those several centuries, how much backstabbing was there? One brother killing another brother, son deposing a father, cousins fighting against each other, separation of the Banu Abbas, giving power to the Turks who eventually overcome them, the Mongols destroying Baghdad in the middle of all of this time. All of this happens. Eventually what happens? They eventually fall to the Seljuk Turks, do they not? They lose control. They don't last. Seljuk Turks come, they take over, they run for a few hundred years. What am I trying to tell you? Dynasties come, they go. People in control come and they go. Societies change hands from here and there. Just look in our own country where we live today. How things swing for 4 years, yes? And maybe next 4 years something else will swing. Inshallah, always for the good. What remains? The name Al-Hussein remains, yes? Huh? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The name Al-Hussein lives. That's why you see millions of people in Karbala on the day of Arba'in. Now I ask you the question, why? Why? Because the answer is the ones, Imam Hussein lived his life for Allah Rabbal Alameen. That's why. Banu Umayyah, they lived for Hayat al-Dunya. Banu Abbas, Hayat al-Dunya. The name Al-Hussein remains. Why? Because he served a higher ideology. His ideology was higher. And he was fulfilling the covenant that was in him. Why is that important? Because Allah says, "Awfu bi'ahdi, awfi bi'ahdikum." Fulfill the covenant to me, I will fulfill my covenant to you. Allah promises. Imam Hussein fulfilled the covenant, did he not? And the name Hussein is alive today, is it not? That ideology lives. Now, let's stop here for a second. Ideology is what we are trying to teach because that's what keeps us going. Tomorrow, if I die, no one will remember me. Really, no one will remember me. The only thing they will remember about me is what I stood for in my life. The ideology with which I lived. No one will remember me other than that. Yes, maybe they will say, okay, well, he was a good soccer player, he liked to eat, he was jovial, some characteristics, but things of worth come only from ideology. What is ideology? If you look at the social sciences, they describe that if you look at human history from the start to now, ideology has some very specific characteristics. And why am I telling you all of this? Because this is what we have to hold on to, our ideology, and teach it to our children. Does not matter whether they are from Pakistan, from Iraq, from Lebanon, Afghanistan, Iran, whether they are American, where they come from, what language they speak, it's their ideology that will determine what their life is. Ideology is what? Ideology comes and is always present. Why? Because there's always going to be a counter ideology against it, right? Islam came, it was the first. The law of Allah is the first. But what happened? People came against it to create an ideology. Just think about the first 4 people on earth. Habil and Qabil, yes? Of them, one killed the other. 4 individuals on earth, one of them killed the other. Yes? One a good ideology in Habil, one a poor and evil ideology in Qabil. Just think about it. Ideologies exist in nature and in the societies of mankind. Why? Because there is ta'arud. Because there is basically a confrontation that occurs between differing ideas. And so what does ideology do for you? It gives you a picture of what is real and what is not real. It will tell you what is true and what is not true. That's the first thing. The second thing is it will give you a window into the world. It will tell you how to see things in the world. It will tell you the value of those things in the world. Let me give you an example. You know that in the days of the pilgrimage of the Hajj, the people had finished the Hajj or they were going for the Hajj. I cannot remember what the tradition says, but it is reported that Amir al-Mu'mineen was sitting in his tent and he was doing something. Ibn Abbas, he comes in. He was the student of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawat ala Muhammadin wa alayhi. Allahumma salli. He says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, the people have gathered outside to talk to you. They want to come and greet you, respect your position. Amir al-Mu'mineen is sitting in there. He has some sandals in his hand. He's fixing them. He's mending the sandals. Probably sandals that he had fixed many a times. He's fixing them. He asks Ibn Abbas, he says, tell me, how much do you think these sandals are worth? Ibn Abbas hesitates. He says, maybe 1 dinar, half a dinar, 2 dinar, something like that, not a lot. Imam Ali, he says, no, now tell me the truth. How much do you think they are worth? Ibn Abbas, he says, in all honesty, Amir al-Mu'mineen, they're not worth anything. Nothing. Imam Ali alayhi salam, he says, they are more worthy, more valuable to me than anything they have to offer outside. Ideology, how you see the world, how you see everything around you. That's why we are so fortunate to have the example of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad alayhi salatu wassalam in front of us. Begin by teaching ourselves and our children the value of what is important. Like Amir al-Mu'mineen. Ideology, just think about what his nature was like, yes? That he would say, أَلَا وَإِنَّ إِمَامَكُمْ قَدْ اِكْتَفَى مِنْ دُنْيَاهِ بِطِمْرَيْهِ وَمِنْ طُعْمِهِ بِقُرْسَيْهِ. He says, your imam, he has made it sufficient in his life just to have 2 pieces of clothing. And to eat 2 pieces of bread, that's it. أَلَا وَإِنَّكُمْ لَا تَقْدِرُونَ عَلَى ذَلِكَ. He says, but you will not be able to do that. He's telling the Shia, وَلَكِنْ أَعِينُونِي. He would say, but help your imam. Follow in his footsteps. You cannot live the way Ali lives, but follow at least in his footsteps. So the one thing that ideology is going to teach you is how to see the world. And we want to see through the eyes of Ahl al-Bayt, alayhim as-salatu was-salam. The other thing that it is going to do, it's going to give you an idea of why you do what you do. It will justify your actions. And it will tell you the consequence of your action. Yes? Good or bad. You do good, it will tell you Allah will do good for you. You do bad, it will tell you Allah will make you answer. He will punish you. And it will also tell you, like the Quran says, ظَهَرَ الْفَسَادُ فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ بِمَا كَسَبَتْ أَيْدِي النَّاسِ. Fasad in the earth has come. Why? Because people's hands have done things that are bad. Ideology will tell you that you do dhulm, you will see what happens. There will be fasad. Allahumma salli ala. Ideology will also, and again, these are not my words, these are what social scientists look at through history. Ideology will also inspire and it will also motivate you. Yes? And that's why when you see the acts of Ahl al-Bayt, just speaking of that same Amir al-Mu'mineen and Salat, that when he had come back from one of the battles, and you know what his valor was like, how many injuries he had sustained on his body. Even al-Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salatu was-salam, he would describe to his companions that my grandfather Ali ibn Abi Talib, no one had championed Islam and carried the trials that faced Rasulullah the way Ali ibn Abi Talib did. That when he came back from battle, he went into the home of his daughter, and they say he went into the room for a little while to rest. He came back. He didn't stay long. He came back. He was leaning against the wall because battle, injury, all of this, exhaustion. She went to him. She says, my father, you have gotten up so quickly. Rest. He says to her, daughter, what can I do? He says, if I rest during the day, I will miss the thawab, the reward of worshiping in the daytime. And if I sleep during the night, I will miss the reward of doing salat al-layl. How can I sleep? It motivates you. Ideology motivates you. It shows you what you need to do. And when you look at these people, you say, Ya Allah, we can achieve, we can at least chase after those who have done the best of the best. If I tell you, come and use me as your role model, yes? Mubashir knows. Mubashir, I come to him and I say, look, Mubashir, I'm going to be the role model. Mubashir will look at me, he'll say, in all honesty, there's really nothing there to be a role model. Role model is up here, not down there. Not even here. Will you pick somebody who performs at 70% to be your role model? In anything in life, not religion, anything. Will you pick somebody who performs at 50%, 70%, 80% to be your role model? No, you will not. You will not. You will not accept that person to be your role model. You will pick somebody who surpasses the top of the top, who gives everything for what is most valuable. That is who your role model is. That's what ideology teaches you, is it gives you someone to be inspired by. It gives you someone to focus on. And what we must do is teach our children particularly who they should look up to. Because today there is too many people out there who they want to emulate, who they want to follow. And yet we say, Ya Allah, make our children follow Al-Hussein. Make our children follow Al-Harara, Al-Aqila Zainab Al-Kubra alayha salatu was-salam. Why? Because that will push them forward. And it is something that we don't have to worry about anybody else. Muslims are enough. Now, why am I telling you all of this? Because from the earliest days, ideologies were clashing inside of Islam. We talk about life and giving for the cause of Allah. That is Rasulullah. That is Amir al-Mu'mineen. That is Al-Hasan, Al-Husayn, Fatima al-Zahra alayha salatu was-salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. But everyone around them was not the same. They were Muslims by name, but their ideologies differed. Yes? You can see that. Just look after the demise of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala that in the battle of Jamal, what happened? Yes, you know. I don't have to tell you the history. That let's focus on one character, Al-Zubayr. Al-Zubayr ibn al-Awam. What was his role? He was the fomenter. He is the one who went and with the master of the camel and the others, with Talha, he raised the army. Now you know that when he got to the battlefield, he was hesitant. And not only was he hesitant, but Amir al-Mu'mineen spoke to him and said, look, remember what has been told to you by Rasulullah. Remember, you've been warned already about what you are going to do and about standing against me. And particularly, knowing that Ammar ibn Yasir is also on the side of Amir al-Mu'mineen because Rasulullah had spoken about Ammar. Now, Ammar's role would be later also in Siffin against Muawiyah. But this man, Al-Zubayr, what happened to him? He didn't want to fight. He, in the end, when he was standing there, did not want to fight. He deserted. He walked away from the battlefield. He walked away from the battlefield. He went into a field somewhere. They say his own son was angry with him. His own son was angry with him. Now I ask you, these are Muslims. They're not Christian. They're not Jewish. They're not Hindu. They're not some other religion. They are Muslim. So what is it about their ideology that makes them stand against Ali ibn Abi Talib? That's the question we have to ask. And it must make us reflect on where we stand in our life as well. Al-Zubayr, he went off. Somebody chased after him and killed him in the field. They were angry because he deserted the army of the camel. He was caught and he was killed. Yes? You know, these sorts of things kept happening. Even after the events of Karbala. Yes? You know that the people of Medina, what did they do? They sent a delegation up to Syria, to Damascus. This is after the events of Karbala. Not long after, a few years after. They went, they came back to Medina. They informed all the chiefs of Medina that we've been to Damascus. We saw this man Yazid and how he lives. He is absolutely he's surrounded himself with debauchery, evil, and everything that is against Islam. That is what he is doing. And we cannot accept this. And they get together, and some say it is Abdullah ibn Zubayr. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, again, is in the middle of this. Some say that historically he foments them, he pushes them, he urges them to stand up in Medina to revolt against Yazid's regime, Yazid's government. Now, first let me ask this question. Why didn't they see that when Al-Hussein rode out? Interesting question, no? That why did it take them so long to realize that Yazid was evil, tyrannical, corrupt? Why could they not have seen it when Imam Hussein was calling the people? It's not like he called once. It's not like he called twice. For months he called, going from Medina to Mecca, Mecca to Tan'im, Tan'im to Zubala, Zubala up to Tha'labiyya, on and on and on. Stop. He's calling people, he's calling people, he's calling people, he's calling people. Why didn't they see it? Why years later, suddenly, they have to go to Yazid in Damascus and then finally say, yes, Hussein was right? Why? Ideology. Your ideology is not correct. In any case, Yazid, he appoints a man named Uthman ibn Muhammad ibn Abi Sufyan, young man, to be the governor over Medina. This man, Uthman ibn Muhammad ibn Abi Sufyan, is very immature, very harsh, very rough man. He treats the people of Medina very badly. He's very harsh with them. They don't like it. As it is, they're upset about what they saw in Damascus, so they decide they're going to revolt. As they start to revolt, they tell the family of Banu Umayyah who are in Medina, they say, we are going to allow you to leave. But you're going to leave, don't come back and fight us. They promise, the Banu Umayyah, the family of Banu Umayyah, like the Banu Marwan, they're all there. They say, we will leave Medina, we will not fight. We will not come back and fight you. They do not fulfill this. They leave. In the meantime, Yazid sends a large army under a man named Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri. Muslim ibn Uqba al-Murri, he comes with a massive army, and another man named Hussein ibn Numayr, he comes with him. They come into Medina. All those Banu Umayyah who had left Medina, they join them, and they slaughter people in Medina. And this is the Battle of Harara. I'm sure you have all heard of it. Where they come, they pillage, they kill, they rape, they kill innocent people. They didn't care. They went and they massacred inside of Medina. And all of this is happening right near the shrine of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Now again I ask you, same question, that how is this happening? These are not Christian, Jew, they're not kafir, they're not idol worshippers, they are not Bani Israel, they're Muslim. They're in the courtyard of Rasulullah, and they're attacking people, killing people, not sparing anybody. Why is that? And that too, we are talking only approximately 52 years after the demise of Rasulullah. 52 years only, not long. 52 years, nothing. Rasul has been only dead 52 years and already this is happening. It means that something isn't deeply ingrained inside of them. Something isn't strongly rooted inside of them. And so they find out means by which they can corrupt. That means that the side of Ahl al-Bayt had to be the one that held on. And that's why you see the role of Imam Ali as-Sajjad alayhi salatu was-salam. Allahumma salli ala. What does he say? When he was dying, when he sat with his son next to him, it is reported, he says, that my son, I will tell you what my father told me. That do not do dhulm. Obviously don't do dhulm in any circumstance. But don't do dhulm on somebody who does not have anyone to support them or help them other than Allah. Look what he said. Do not do dhulm on anybody who has no supporter other than Allah. That is the worst kind of dhulm you can do. Imagine. And on the other hand, what do you think he did himself? He was out in the middle of the night. Yes? He was helping the people, so much so that when Al-Imam al-Baqir, it is reported, was washing his body, he began to cry, he began to weep. And when someone asked him that, Yabna Rasulillah, why are you crying so much? Your father has gone, he has gone to a better place. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, he says, because you can see, I see the mark on his back, where he used to carry the sack with the bread and the food that he would give to the poor. I see what he used to do. My dear brothers and sisters, it is a fabric of what we believe in. And it is human nature to be this way. I don't know how many of you know this, but there is something called a social contract. Go look it up. It is a concept in which it is understood that any group of people has nothing to do with religion, has nothing to do with race, ethnicity. When they live together, they are living together. We are talking about hayat. When they're living together, it is a unstated understanding, unwritten understanding that they will all contribute to the betterment of society. This is called a social contract. Today, if you walk down the street down Atlanta, yes, downtown? I haven't been to downtown Atlanta in a long time. I don't know what it looks like. But let's assume you walk down. There is garbage on the sidewalk. You walk, you look at it, and you lift your head and you keep going, okay? I won't say you, let's say it's me. I'm a bad citizen, okay? I don't want to point the finger at you. I am walking down, I'm a resident of Atlanta, I walk down the street, I see there's a piece of garbage, I look down on it, I keep walking. Have I broken the law? Have I broken the law? I've not broken the law. There's no law that says I have to pick it up. But somebody was sitting there, they saw me, look down, see the garbage, and proceed to ignore it and keep going. What are they going to think of me? they're going to say, well, this guy really doesn't care. He's not a true citizen, not a true member of society. Why? Because it's an unwritten rule, it's an unstated fact that we are all part of society, and so if there is a garbage on the ground, I should pick it up, should it not? Same goes for your center. Will you accept that in your home? I don't know about your home. My home is such, and Ali is sitting right there, that there'll be something sitting on the side or something on the staircase that needs to be put away. He'll walk over it 8 times. Right, Ali? No, not quite 8 times. Maybe 4 times he would do it. He's good, alhamdulillah. But I won't accept that. I'll say, look, you saw it the first time, you should have put it away. And I'm saying this because my father is also sitting here. He told me when I was young, so Ali is just being like his father, unfortunately. But you won't accept it in your own home. You won't accept it in society. Why? Because there is a social contract. Yes? All it is that Islam does is it deepens this contract. And it makes it on principles that are outside of insaniyah. The social contract is built by human beings. But what Islam does, it says, hold on to those same lofty principles because that's what Allah gave you. Why is that important? Because today the unwritten rule in Atlanta may exist. In 100 years it may change. Won't it? You think Atlanta is the same today as it was 100 years ago? It was not. You know that it was not. Look at any society, anywhere. Is it the same now as it was 100 years ago? Will it be the same 200 years from now? No, it will not. Human beings will change. Things will change. But the only thing that does not change is the system that Allah has created, ideology. That ideology has to be sewn in. Yes? On how you view reality, what you see of the world, the justification for your acts, what inspires you, and indeed, who you hold to be as your role models. The doctrine that has been given to you. Ideology is about doctrine. It's about people who you look up to. And that's why we have Al-Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam. And that's why you know that on that night before the day of Ashura, Al-Imam al-Sajjad alayhi salam is in the tent. He is very sick. You know. I don't have to tell you the details. In which he is hearing his father outside of the tent, preparing himself. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, I heard my father Al-Hussein outside of my tent on the night of Ashura, calling out, Ya dahru uffin laka min khalili, kam laka bil ishraqi wal asili, min talibin aw sahibin qatili, wad dahru la yaqna'u bil badili, innama al-amru إلى الجليل وكل حي سالك سبيلي. Imam Hussein is recounting life, the passage of time, that when the time comes, there is no escaping your moment. Everyone is walking on this same path towards Allah. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he hears this from his father. He says, when I heard this, I could not bear to hear what he was saying. He says, one more person heard my father. That was my aunt Zainab al-Kubra. When she heard these abiyat, when she heard these lines of poetry coming from my father Al-Hussein, she said, Wah thakala. Aywa musibata wa Husayna. My dear brothers and sisters, as it was already recounted, the most difficult days on the Ahl al-Bayt were the days in Sham. That when asked to Al-Imam al-Sajjad, Yabna Rasulillah, so many trials fell upon you. the difficulties in Karbala, the difficulties on the road to Kufa, from Kufa, in the court of Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad, from Ubaydullah ibn Ziyad all the way to Damascus. What was the most difficult for you? Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he said, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham, Ash-Sham. Damascus was the most difficult. They were brought, salawat ala Muhammad. They were brought into the court of Yazid, la'natullahi alayhim. They were brought in front of the eyes of the residents of Damascus, brought so that everyone can see them. Passing through the streets, they say an old man comes to Al-Imam al-Sajjad. He says, praise to Allah that He killed you. He killed your family and the rebellious ones. And Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Ya Shaykh, hal qara'ta al-Qur'an? Oh Shaykh, have you read the Qur'an? The old man, he says, yes, I have read the Qur'an. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, hal qara'ta al-aya wa ati dhal qurba haqqah? Have you read the verse of the Quran that says, give to the relative their rights, the qurba? The old man, he says, yes, I know this ayah, I have read it. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Ya Shaykh, nahnu al-qurba. We are those qurba being referred to in this ayah. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Ya Shaykh, oh Shaykh, have you read the ayah, wa'lamu annama ghanimtum? فَأَنَّا لِلَّهِ خُمُسَهُ وَلِلرَّسُولِ وَلِذِي الْقُرْبَى. Have you read the verse of the Quran on khums? That anything you have earned of surplus, then it is for Allah. This fifth goes to Allah and to His Rasul and to another group known as Dhil Qurba. Have you read this ayah of the Quran? The old man, he says, yes, I have read this ayah. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Ya Shaykh, nahnu al-Qurba. We are the Qurba being referred to in this ayah. Then finally, Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, Ya Shaykh, hal qara'ta al-aya, innama yuridu Allah ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. Have you read the ayah that says Allah wants to take away all of the fallibility from you, all of the rijs from you, all of the sin from you, and purify you a thorough purification, O Ahl al-Bayt? The old man, he says, I have read this ayah. Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, نحن أهل بيت النبوة. We are the family of the Prophet being referred to in this ayah. The old man, he becomes bewildered. He says, are you really them? Al-Imam al-Sajjad, he says, نحن هم بحق جدنا رسول الله. We are truly them by the right of our grandfather Rasulullah. The old man was penitent, he repented, and some of the riwayat, they say that Yazid had him killed. Al-Imam al-Sajjad is brought into the court of Yazid. They say that Yazid, holding the head of Al-Imam al-Husayn. What was the state of Al-Imam al-Sajjad? Seeing the head of Abi Abdullah al-Husayn. Aywa Husayna, Aywa Madluma, Aywa Ghariba. They held the head of Al-Imam al-Husayn. they would not allow them to come close. Finally, Al-Imam As-Sajjad, he says, allow me to speak. Allow me to give a speech. Yazid did not want to allow him to speak. When the people, they urged him, Yazid knew that these are people. This young man, Ali ibn al-Hussein, is from a family who have pierced through the knowledge, and that if he begins to speak, it will end in the embarrassment of Banu Umayyah. But the people of the court, they urge Yazid to let him speak. Al-Imam As-Sajjad finally gets up and he says to them a speech the likes of which no one has heard. He reminds them of the life of this world. He reminds them of what it means to be sown to this world. He finally says, "Man arafani faqad arafani." Whoever knows me, they know me. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَعْرَفْنِي أَنْبَأْتُهُ بِحَسَبِي وَنَسَبِي. Whoever does not know me, I will tell them who I am and where I come from and who my family is. أَنَا ابْنُ مُحَمَّدٍ الْمُصْطَفَى. I am the son of Muhammad al-Mustafa. أَنَا ابْنُ عَلِيٍّ الْمُرْتَضَى. I am the son of Ali al-Murtada. أَنَا ابْنُ خَدِيجَةَ الْكُبْرى. I am the son of Khadija الكبرى. أنا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. I am the son of Fatima al-Zahra. One by one he takes the names of his relatives until finally he describes and he says, أنا ابن المقتول ظلما. I am the son of the one who was killed, oppressed. أنا ابن محزوز الرأس من القفا. I am the son of the one whose head was أنا ابن العطشان حتى قضى. I am the son of the one who was thirsty until he died. أنا ابن مسلوب العمامة والرداء. I am the son of the one whose amama was taken and his every possession was robbed from his body. أنا ابن من بكت عليه ملائكة السماء. I am the son of the one for whom the angels in the sky, they were crying. أنا ابن من حرمه من العراق إلى الشام تسبى. I am the son of the one whose ladies were taken prisoner from Iraq to Sham. Hearing this and seeing that the people in the court of Yazid were turning, their hearts were shaking, some were in tears. Yazid calls the mu'adhin. He says to the mu'adhin, raise your voice in the adhan. Cut off the voice of Ali as-Sajjad. The mu'adhin, he stands and he says, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Al-Imam as-Sajjad, he says, La shay akbar min Allah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Al-Imam As-Sajjad, he says, شهد به سمعي وبصري ولحمي ودمي. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. The minute the mu'adhin, he calls out, أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. Al-Imam As-Sajjad, he turns to Yazid, he says, يا يزيد محمدا هذا جدك أم جدي. This Muhammad whose name is being taken, is he your grandfather or is he my grandfather? إن زعمت أنه جدك فقد كذبت. If you are saying that he is your grandfather, then you are surely a liar and a denier. And if you say وإن قلت أنه جدي فلماذا قتلت عترته؟ لماذا قتلت والدي الحسين? If you say that this Muhammad is my grandfather, then why did you kill the family of Muhammad? Why did you kill my father? Dear brothers and sisters, on the day of Shahada of Al-Imam As-Sajjad, remember that he was lying on his deathbed. He was waking from the poison and becoming unconscious. They say Al-Imam Al-Baqir was near him. At one moment, Al-Imam As-Sajjad opened his eyes, regained consciousness in the last moments of his life. He began to weep and cry profusely in those last moments. Al-Imam Al-Baqir, he said, Ya Abba, why are you crying? Soon you are departing from this world. You will be reunited with Rasulullah. You will be reunited with Amir al-Mu'mineen, with Fatima al-Zahra. You will be away from this world. Al-Imam As-Sajjad, he says, my son, Ya Aba Ja'far, what can I tell you? I am lying on my deathbed. You are here near me, you are holding me, you are close to me, you are on my chest in the last moments of my life. Who was on the chest of my father, Abi Abdullah al-Hussein? وَكَانَ عَلَىٰ أَرْضِ كَرْبَلَاء وَالشِّمْرُ عَلَىٰ صَدْرِهِ آخِذٌ بِشَيْبَتِهِ. Shimr is on the chest of al-Hussein. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين إن لله وإنا إليه راجعون. باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك ونقسم عليك بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها لعن الله ظالميها. اللهم شافي كل مريض، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك يا كريم. اللهم وفقنا لمراضيك وجنبنا معاصيك وثبت أقدامنا على صراطك المستقيم وخذ بأيدينا إليك يا أرحم الراحمين. وفرج عنا يا الله فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب من ذلك. وافرغ علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
शाम का बाजार आबिद बीमार, शाम का बाजार आबिद बीमार, शाम का बाजार आबिद बीमार, शाम का बाजार आबिद। पाँव में बेड़ी तो के गराबा, शाम का बाजार आबिद बीमार, शाम का बाजार आबिद बीमार। भूलेगा ना वो मंजर नेज़े पे सरे सरवर, भूलेगा ना वो मंजर नेज़े पे सरे सरवर। फेमकनाओं पे चादर बलवे में फुपी मादर, और मजमाए कुफार आबिद बीमार, शाम का बाजार आबिद बीमार, शाम का बाजार عابد بیمار بازار کی زیبائیں کوٹھوں پہ تماشائیں بازار کی زیبائیں کوٹھوں پہ تماشائیں آدھا کے سفر آئے اور عالم تنہائے وہ بے کس و لاچار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار دربار میں سرونیاں آتے ہیں حرم گریاں دربار میں سرونیاں آتے ہیں حرم گریاں اٹھنے لگے ایک طوفان محشر کس ہے سامان جنبش میں دربار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام عابد بیمار بو پائیں تو گھبرا کر بچی نے کہا رو کر بو پائیں تو گھبرا کر بچی نے کہا رو کر اس دشت میں ہے جو سر وہ تو ہے سر سرور کیسے کروں دیدار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار حاکم نے یہ سن پایا تو اور ستم ڈھایا حاکم نے یہ سن پایا تو اور ستم ڈھایا سرپوش کو سرکایا اور بچی کو دکھلایا چلائے وہ ایک بار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار کچھ شمر سے فرما دو گردن میری کھلوا دو کچھ شمر سے فرما دو گردن میری کھلوا دو سر بابا کا دلوا دو یا اس کو یہ سمجھا دو مارے نہ ستمگار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار سر جا کے اٹھاؤں میں یا پاس بلاؤں میں سر جا کے اٹھاؤں میں یا پاس بلاؤں میں روداد سناؤں میں سینے سے لگا لوں میں دیکھے برا دربار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار کہنے لگی پھر رو کر پیاری ہے اگر دختر کہنے لگی پھر رو کر پیاری ہے اگر دختر آ جاؤ یہ ہاتھوں پر سب دیکھ لے یہ منظر الفت کہو یہ اظہار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار شام کا بازار عابد بیمار
یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں اپنے بندھے ہاتھوں کو بیمار کے زیور کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو
بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں اٹھتی ہوئی آندھی کو وحشت کو بیاباں کو چھپتے ہوئے سورج کو تاریکی کو میدان کو چلتے ہوئے خنجر کو نیزے پہ تیرے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی ایک چاند تھا بدلی میں چھپتا تھا نکلتا تھا پردہ در خیمے کا اٹھتا کبھی گرتا تھا وہ خیمہ لیلا سے ہے رخصت اکبر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں یاد آتا ہے دلہن کو غش کس طرح آئے تھے ایک گٹھری شہ والا جب کاندھوں پہ لائے تھے اس لاش کی گٹھری کو اس خون بھری چادر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں فضا کو میرا بھائی ماں کہہ کے بلاتا تھا غم اس کا میرے بھائی یہ نام سے جاتا تھا رتبے میں جو ماں بن کر آئی اسی مادر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں لہراتے ہوئے نیزہ اور شمر کا وہ بڑھنا آ کے میرے پیچھے ہر بی کا وہ چھپنا شولوں میں گھرے گھر کو چھنتی ہوئی چادر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں معصوم سکینہ کو بڑھتے ہوئے نیزوں کو کھچتے ہوئے گالوں کو بے رحم تماچوں کو رستے ہوئے کانوں کو کھچتے ہوئے گوہر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو بھولی نہیں میں جس رات میں تنہا تھی اس رات کے ڈلنے کو ٹوٹے ہوئے نیزے کو اس رات کے پہرے کو بچوں کے سسکنے کو اور خاک کے بستر کو
بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں ان شام کی گلیوں کو جن سے کھلے سر گزرے، جس در سے گزرنے میں تھے 16 پہر گزرے، دربار کے اس در کو اور شامیوں کے شر کو، بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں ہے آج بھی وہ گریا، ہے آج بھی وہ زاری، ہے آج بھی پتھر کے سینے سے لہو جاری، روتے ہوئے پتھر کو پتھر پہ رکھے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں اپنے بندے ہاتھوں کو، بیمار کے زیور کو، نلی نہیں میں بازار کے منظر کو اور اپنے کھلے سر کو، بھولی نہیں میں غوثے 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 غوثے
صلی اللہ علیہ یا رسول اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا نبی اللہ، السلام علیکہ یا امیر المؤمنین، السلام علیکہ یا فاطمۃ الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیکہ یا ابا محمد الحسن، السلام علیکہ یا ابا عبد اللہ وعلی الارواح التي حلت بفنائک، علیک منی سلام اللہ ابدا ما بقیت وبقی اللیل والنہار ولا جعلہ اللہ آخر لحظ منی لزیارتکم، السلام علی الحسین وعلی علی ابن الحسین وعلی اولاد الحسین وعلی اصحاب الحسین، السلام علیکہ یا سید الساجدین، السلام علیکہ یا زین العابدین، السلام علیکہ یا حلیف الحسرات، السلام علیکہ یا ذا الصفنات، السلام علیکہ یا صاحب العبرات، السلام علیکہ یا اسیر القربات، السلام علیکہ یا آدم عالی العباد، السلام علیکہ یا ابن خامس اہل الکساء، السلام علیکہ یا ابن سید الشہداء، السلام علیکہ یا اماد الاتقیاء، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا محمد ابن علی الباقر، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا جعفر ابن محمد الصادق، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا موسیٰ ابن جعفر الکاظم، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا علی ابن موسیٰ الرضا، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا محمد ابن علی التقی الجواد، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا علی ابن محمد حاد النقی، السلام علیکہ یا مولانا حسن ابن علی العسکری، السلام علیکہ یا صاحب العصر والزمان، الامان الامان من زوال الایمان ومن شر الشیطان، سیدی عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسہل اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک ورحمت اللہ وبرکاتہ۔